Good morning and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Rules, Privileges, Elections, Standard, and Ethics. At this time, I would like to remind everyone to silence all electronic devices. Also, at this point, going forward, no one is supposed to approach the dais. Chair, we're ready to begin.
Good morning and welcome to this meeting of the Committee on Rules, Privileges, Elections, Standard, and Ethics. I'm Councilmember Ong, Chair of the committee. Before we begin, I would like to recognize other members of the committee who are present. Councilmember Rowley, we also joined by Councilmember Marte. I would also like to acknowledge to the council, to the committee, Jeff Campania, and the committee staff that worked on today's hearing. Director of Public Integrity, Francesca Della Vecchia, Deputy Director of Public Integrity, Alicia Vassell, and Chief Ethics Counsel, Pearl Moore. By letter dated April 24th, 2026, Mayor Zoran Madani requested the advice and consent of the council regarding his proposed appointment of Lisa Kasavage to be a member of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. Today, we'll hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 31 of the Charter to consider this nomination. Section 3020 of the Charter establishes that the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission, also known as LPC, is responsible for establishing and regulating landmarks, portion landmarks, landmark sites, arterial landmarks, and scenic landmarks, and historic districts. The LPC also regulates alterations to designated buildings. The LPC consists of 11 members. The membership must include at least 3 architects, 1 historian qualified in the field, 1 city planner or landscape architect, and 1 realtor, and must include at least 1 resident from each of the 5 boroughs. Members serve for the term of 3 years and serve until the appointment of a successor. The mayor also designates one of the LPC members to serve as the chair of the LPC and designates another member to serve as vice chair of the LPC. These LPC members shall serve until a successor is designated. The members of the LPC, with the exception of the chair, serves without compensation, but reimbursed for necessary expenses and incurred in the course of performing their duties. The mayor has expressed his intent to designate Ms. Kasavage to be the new chair of the commission. The chair's current salary is $223,319. Lisa Kasavage joins us today. She has been on the staff of the Landmark Preservation Commission since 2015, when she joins the Director of Special Projects and Strategic Planning. Since 2019, she has been the Executive Director of the agency, in which role she conceived, drafted, and executed the agency's equity agenda to ensure diversity and inclusion in LPC's historic designations. Prior to joining LPC from 2012 to 2015, Ms. Kasavage was a project manager at the Van Allen Institute, where she oversaw a $3 million design competition to develop a sustainable vision of the lower Mississippi Delta. From 2004 to 2012, she worked at the Municipal Art Society as a fellow, as a director of advocacy and policy, and as a senior director of preservation and sustainability, where she led the campaign to construct the Monaghan Station. She also served as executive director of the Friends of the Upper East Side Historic District from 1999 to 2004 and from 1997 to 1999, where she was a publication specialist as what is now known as Enid's Architects. Ms. Kasavage earned her Bachelor's of Arts in Art History from Pennsylvania State University and Master's degree in Historic Preservation from Columbia University. If appointed, Ms. Kasavage will serve the remainder of a 3-year term that will expire on June 28, 2028. Welcome, Ms. Kasavage, and thank you for being with us here today. Before you begin, please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
You affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and in answer to all council member questions.
I do. Thank you. You're now recognized to give an opening statement.
Great. Thank you very much, Chair Ung. Good morning to you and Councilmember Marte and to members of the Committee on Rules, Privileges, Elections, Standards, and Ethics. I'm honored to be Mayor Mamdani's nominee to be chair of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. I believe the work of LPC is important and that the preservation of historic resources can support communities, foster economic development, and contribute to the vitality of New York City. I bring to the Commission more than 2 decades of experience working at the intersection of historic preservation, urban planning, and sustainability, as well as a strong track record of executive leadership in both government and the nonprofit sector. I believe my experience and approach to preservation will enable me to serve as an effective chair, and I hope that you will support my nomination. An interest in architectural history and urban planning brought me to the field that is and has shaped the direction of my career. Having a lifelong dream of living and working in New York City, I was excited to move here for graduate studies at Columbia University, where I focused on the public policy and urban planning aspects of historic preservation. After working at the preservation nonprofit Friends of the Upper East Side Historic Districts, I held senior positions at the Municipal Arts Society of New York, where the advocacy was deliberately interdisciplinary, looking at how preservation can contribute to neighborhood plans, rezonings, and economic development projects. That approach to historic preservation has been an important guiding principle to me. At MAS, I led a large project to improve the energy efficiency and sustainability of historic buildings. Later, I was able to apply my resiliency and climate change interest, leading an ambitious design competition sponsored by the Environmental Defense Fund and Van Allen Institute, convening global teams of interdisciplinary experts to reimagine a more sustainable lower Mississippi River Delta. Subsequently, I joined LPC, where I've worked for 11 years, serving first as the Director of Strategic Planning and Special Projects, and for the last 7 years as Executive Director. In the time that I've been at the agency, I have helped make advancements to increase efficiency, transparency, and accessibility of our permitting process, to designate significant historic resources across the city and prioritizing places that reflect the city's diversity, and to educate property owners about permitting processes and grant opportunities. Taking on the role of chair at this time is personally important, as I'm motivated to help advance the goals of the Mamdani administration to address affordability, increase housing, and make government work for all New Yorkers. As chair, addressing housing issues would be a priority and would align with my interdisciplinary approach to the field. Finding the right balance between protecting the character of New York City's historic districts and landmarks while allowing for the development of new housing is an obligation that I'm confident in my abilities to take on. Another priority for me is continuing to advance equitable representation and designations, prioritizing those that reflect New York City's diversity and that are in areas less represented by landmarks, and striving to tell the story of all New Yorkers. In addition, I believe it is important to work closely with agencies such as the Department of City Planning to identify opportunities for preservation in areas planned for growth. Supporting property owners of designated landmarks is another priority. As chair, I would continue advancing our work to support property owners, ensure that we are issuing guidance that is clear, and that we consider rule amendments to expedite the type of work typically undertaken by small property owners. Another priority is addressing sustainability issues in our historic resources. Encouraging work that sensitively improves energy efficiency and resiliency is important, and I will consider measures to streamline permitting to support this type of work. Finally, supporting and nurturing LPC's staff is also a priority. Over my time at LPC, I've witnessed their dedication to the field and to the New York City residents that they serve, and I'm honored to lead such a talented team. I'm excited for the future of preservation in New York City and thank the City Council for considering and supporting my nomination as chair of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. Thank you again for offering the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. We're also joined by Councilmember Lee, and I will ask you some questions before I turn over to my colleagues. As Executive Director of LPC, you played a leading role in crafting and implementing the agency's equity initiative. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. What we did is look at agency-wide how we could improve equity, transparency across the entire agency. So some of that work was related to making sure that our permitting processes was very clear for everybody. LPC is an unusual agency in that our applicants range from individual property owners to, say, architects or land use attorneys. So we wanted to make sure that the individual property owners have equal access to information that they could apply to LPC on their own, and make sure that our staff was working with them closely to help support them. I think most importantly, too, with our landmark designations, we really sought to prioritize designations that reflect the diversity of the city, and to also look at designations that are geographically diverse in the city as well, and to undertake research that is very inclusive, that really makes sure to tell those stories. I think especially telling the stories of social justice and civil rights is also very important to us. So we use that as a framework to prioritize designations over the last several years. And I think that work is very important and will continue.
Thank you. So when analyzing whether a site should be landmark, how should the historic nature of a site be balanced with its aesthetic uniqueness?
It's a great question. The landmarks law is quite broad, but we, over the 60 years of the agency, have developed, criteria and comparative analysis to really look at how we can identify places that merit designation. Typically, places are architecturally significant, but we also can recognize historic significance and cultural significance, and we usually look at the combination of all of them to determine that significance.
We also been joined by Council Member Encarnacion. As Executive Director, how do you respond to requests for designation from advocates? Can you explain the regulatory thresholds for these designations?
Sure. LPC is unique, I think, in that we don't have applications for designations. Other cities do that, but we do have a process to have people request whether a site may merit designation, and that's the request for evaluation. So those come into us, and our research department, guided by our director of research, analyzes whether the property may merit designation. And we do a lot of research into these sites and then respond to the person who sent it to us. And importantly, that information goes into our survey. So if it is a place that merits designation, it goes into our survey, but it doesn't necessarily lead to a designation.
I'm sorry, can you clarify what does it mean go into a survey?
So our research department has surveys of historic buildings, historically, culturally, and architecturally significant buildings across the city. Those are our internal working guidelines for places. And we refer to them in environmental review and other analysis that we do. Some of those we advance to designate, either as an individual landmark, interior landmark, or a historic district.
And do you explain that whole process to advocates about how to get the designation? How do you explain the whole process to advocates?
Yeah, and it's I admit a bit confusing. Because I think people do often think there is an application process for designation, so we do try very hard to communicate that clearly. I think the advocacy organizations I think understand that, but I think particularly individual property owners sometimes reach out to us, or other people. We do in our responses to people try and explain that, that it's. And if a building merits designation, that it doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to then put it forward through the designation process.
Okay, and this explanation is usually in a letter. Do you have what is the? Yeah.
It's usually in the letter.
Okay.
Yes, and we have it on our website as well.
Okay, so what other public education or outreach would you set expectations and explain the standards for landmarking certificate of appropriateness and hardship applications?
Sure, and those are, so a certificate of appropriateness is what we issue for a project that would be going to a public hearing. So that's part of our permitting process. And I should say LPC issues about 12,000 permits a year, and about 95% of those are approved at staff level because they meet our rules. And about 5% of permits will go to a public hearing, and those are the permits that require a certificate of appropriateness typically. And for that, if a project doesn't meet our rules, then it's really our commissioners that decide, is this appropriate? Is this proposed work appropriate? So it's based on our decades of permitting. I think it allows them some discretion, but they're making sure that it is appropriate to the historic character of the landmark or to the historic district. So that's that permitting question. A hardship application is very important. What makes our law constitutional is that there is a process of hardship that if somebody finds that, they are no longer able to have an economic return on their property, then they can file for a hardship application, and we go through a very, very careful review of that. It's a complex process. It happens very rarely. There's been about 23 in the history of the agency, but it is an important for the constitutionality of the landmarks law.
So how would, the way you explain it right now, thank you, how would the public know this? Like, what is the process for letting the public know this is the process?
Yeah, and there is a hardship application before the commission now. And we, for example, did a video on YouTube to try and explain what the hardship application process is. We're very
Okay.
transparent with all of the materials. We put, and they are many thousands of pages. They are big, complex projects, but we put all of that information on our website. And we tried during the hearing or public meeting process to explain. But it is admittedly probably the most technically difficult and probably sort of confusing sort of process that we have. But they are very, very rare that they come before the commission.
Thank you. We also been joined by Minority Leader Carr and Councilmember Krishnan. I do have more questions, but I'll turn it over to Councilmember Marte.
Thank you, Chair Ung, and thank you for being here. First, I just want to say we were thrilled about the recent decision about the landmarking of St. Mary's Church on the Lower East Side, and also the Commission's decision to save 139 Thompson Street from demolition, despite the argument from the owner that preservation wasn't possible. So, thank you for it was under your interim leadership that we were able to get those two successful outcomes. More broadly. We've seen landmarking decline in recent years since the beginning of the pandemic. Do you plan to increase our landmarking efforts now to make them similar to pre-COVID numbers?
Yes, and I understand that our numbers did go down, and the pandemic and other issues really did result in that. But I do think the preservation numbers might not be the best metric for assessing our designations, but they did admittedly drop, during that time. I think with our focus on equity, we are looking at designations in areas where we haven't done as much research, or the owner outreach sometimes can take longer. So I think the quality of our designations is a very, very important metric. But certainly, we're looking at potential designations across all 5 boroughs. We designated 2 historic districts recently in Brooklyn. So I think we are surveying across all 5 boroughs all the time to identify potential resources. We do owner outreach frequently, and so there can be ebbs and flows in those numbers of designations.
Okay. Demolition by neglect continues to be a serious issue for landmarks. Would you support legislation aimed at better protecting neglected landmarks through stricter enforcement of neglect, more resources for rehabilitation efforts, and greater oversight over demolition applications?
Sure. And demolition by neglect cases, I recognize can be, challenging for everybody. They again are very rare. And just so people know, a demolition by neglect is, when a property declines to a point where, it becomes an unsafe building, and DOB would require its demolition because it's unsafe. It happens very rarely, and oftentimes, we're dealing with property owners who are, struggling typically. So I think there might be a perception that it's developers or bad actors, but it's typically not that. So we have a strong law. We have a strong enforcement policy. We have dedicated staff who really work very hard and very carefully with DOB and other partners to try to, get appropriate action, or even, potentially to try and find new buyers for the properties. So we understand that every time this happens, it's upsetting, but it does happen extremely rarely. But I think we have the tools that we need to address this issue.
Thank you for that. In your opening remarks, you mentioned that you want to continue the work that LPC has been doing on a equity framework and looking for areas outside of traditional landmarking neighborhoods for opportunity. Are there anything new you want to create within the LPC, or any new initiatives that like you care about that you feel like hasn't been addressed yet?
Yeah, well, it's an exciting question. And I'm proud of the work that we've done in recent years. So I think in many ways it's continuing on with some of this work. I'm personally very interested in technology. I was very proud of our new Portico, our permitting software, and we are about to undertake a big effort to redo a lot of our technology. And while that's kind of insider, I get very excited about that and how we can really improve customer experience through these software improvements. So I'm personally excited about that. Also, really increasing our sustainability and resiliency work, as I mentioned. I think that's important. We've just recently done a survey of property owners to see what barriers there might be to things like floodproofing their homes. So I'm excited to think through how we can do more educational work, or maybe think about rules, or sort of encourage property owners to do that kind of very important work to protect their properties. And I think the landmark designations are also important. And our equity work will continue, and that has been very meaningful to me personally, to really sort of lift all the voices of New York City through those designations.
Thank you for that. Piggybacking off the chair's question about how can a local advocate or activist, move forward with an application or submit an application. As we know locally, we typically partner with the amazing organizations like LESP, Village Preservation, HDC, who are experts in this. But let's say if I was an individual that wasn't in that bubble of expertise, would you be open to having a much simpler, streamlined application for the average citizen, just to at least show interest in a site?
Absolutely. And, I think what's really important in New York City, and I think is unique nationally, is that we don't have an application process. There are many other cities where you have to come to the municipal preservation organization with a fully, fleshed out nomination that can cost a lot of money. And we certainly don't require any of that. And we're always happy to meet with communities to talk about potential designations. Nobody has to do any serious work or hire any experts. They can come to us and talk to us about that. And we can, go out into the field and look at these resources. We may have already surveyed the area, so we might have a sense of whether a place merits or not merits. But I would say people should just reach out to us. They don't need to hire somebody. It's great when they work with preservation organizations, but they don't have to. They can come directly to us. Community boards can as well. So we're very open to just starting with a conversation or some basic information.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions, Chair.
We also been joined by Deputy Speaker Williams and Majority Leader Abreu. Now I would like to turn it over to Council Member Krishnan.
Thank you so much, Chair, and Lisa, it's great to see you too. And thank you for your testimony today as well. I just had one question, which is about how you, in this role, would approach balancing community perspective with the work of LPC. I think that is really important. I mean, in Jackson Heights, for example, we have a historic district, but also across the city, there are times where the community feels strongly that what is best and what makes the most sense is landmarking something, and we need to get that done and push it through. There are other times where a community feels it's important to protect this space for one purpose or another, and LPC may have a role to play there as well. And I think oftentimes it's crucial, especially in neighborhoods that are suffering from great inequities, whether it be serious rates of gentrification or displacement, or in my case, lack of public space and green space. That community feedback and perspective is really important to take into account. And I'm curious how LPC, under your leadership, would approach that, how you would think about navigating balancing. And as I said, it could cut different ways on a different issue, but I think it's more the principle of making sure that the community is well represented and their voices are heard and factored into the decision-making that LPC makes. And I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Sure. And, we have public hearings almost every Tuesday. So we welcome, testimony and feedback from the community. And we get quite a bit of it. I think it's always a balance. We do have to make merit-based decisions, both in terms of landmark designation issues and also for our permitting. And so, in an ideal world, we're all kind of aligned on, the merit and an action and the community voice, but sometimes that doesn't happen. We do want to be mindful that historic preservation isn't used to say stop development. But I think that especially at our public hearings, the community voice is very important. Our commissioners, our New York City residents, and I think really do try and take into consideration the concerns, the suggestions, the recommendations by communities and community boards. So it is an important part of the process. When we hear from the community about potential landmark designations, it's also very important to us, our elected officials. We take that very seriously. We are bound by making those merit-based decisions, but it can be very helpful for us to hear from a community that there's historic resources out there that maybe we don't know about, maybe we don't know the full story, maybe there's cultural significance about a place that we weren't aware of. So it is very important to us.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
I'd like now to turn it over to Deputy Speaker Williams.
Hi. So my district includes 2 landmark districts. So these issues are not theoretical for us. They directly affect homeowners and our institutions and the neighborhood character, which is something that my constituents are extremely passionate about. And so I know you've emphasized supporting housing and affordability as a priority. How do you ensure that push does not come at the expense of preserving historic sites and landmark protections?
Thank you. It's a great question, and we were very excited to designate those 2 districts in your district. I think that housing issues are the most critical issue of today in the city, and I think we are working to really find that balance of how we can create opportunity for housing. And the commission, over its 60 years, has regularly approved additions, new buildings. And created housing and adaptive reuse projects too. So converting, say, a manufacturing and industrial building to housing. It's been decades of experience doing that. But I think there is a crisis now. I think we need to try and figure out that balance. We've recently approved some larger projects in historic districts or in individual landmarks to allow that housing. I think we've found that balance of preservation and housing opportunity, and I think it's something that is important for me to focus on, and I'm excited to take on that challenge.
Thank you. The Merchants House case raised concerns about whether LPC is doing enough to protect landmarks from adjacent development. Do you believe LPC got that case right? And what does that say about how you'll approach similar conflicts? And I will say, I think this is like my theme of concern because I think the Merchants House should be preserved. And I know that LPC really hasn't been a good partner in making sure that that house isn't harmed. And I do believe like the adjacent property is set to build housing, which I know we need, but I don't think that building housing should come at the expense of potentially elimination of critical history, especially considering the recent findings that the house might have been a stop on the Underground Railroad.
Sure. Happy to answer that. And, I will say abolitionist history is incredibly important, and, uncovering new information about that history is great. I mean, it's difficult history to uncover, so we're excited about the findings there. And, specific to that application, it is something that is before the commission now, so I can speak broadly about it, but it is something potentially, I would be voting on. But it is a project that in the past, LPC did approve a new building adjacent to the Merchants House. With the approval, we required 10, through our consulting engineer's advice, we came up with a list of 10 things that they had to do to safeguard the Merchant's House and specifically the plaster inside the Merchant's House Museum. So the previous approval came with an extra level of requirements from LPC, in addition to those by DOB. They are really the agency charged with that kind of safety. For any construction that's adjacent to a landmark, they have to also submit something to DOB to ensure that, that they are safeguarding the structure of the landmark. So, it's an important issue to us. We recognize that it's an important issue to the Merchant's House Museum and to the Parks Department that owns the property. And as we go through this process, we will be looking at those kinds of safeguards in the future as well.
Yes, I feel like the times call for that. I mean, I don't feel like I don't have to say it, but I mean, we see like the erasure of particularly like Black history. And I think New York overall like has not done a great job of preserving slave, abolitionist, or Black history. I know Councilmember Marte and I had sponsored a bill to create like a trail, just mapping certain locations. So, I mean, this is, I think, something that should be preserved and taken very seriously. And again, I know we need to build housing, but I don't think we should do that at the expense of potentially ruining the house and like not prioritizing history, which I think is so important considering everything that is happening right now.
And look, I agree with you on all counts, but so for the safeguarding of the building, there is construction in New York City adjacent to landmarks and very old landmarks, frequently, and they've been able to do that without harm to an adjacent building. So I think we need to carefully look at this, but I think it has happened across the city. In terms of the abolitionist history, I agree that it's really crucial history, and I think for today, you can, in our environment, you can look back to that time and see, analogous history that is also important and inspiring. We actually, LPC worked with a historian to create an abolition trail in Brooklyn, and it exists now. It is virtual. You can go and scan a QR code to take it. Where we have about 12 sites that you can stop by and learn that had documented abolition and underground history. I think it's, personally for me, just a fascinating period of our history, inspiring, important, and I agree that we can do more to recognize it.
Yeah, and even the Merchant family themselves, I know that's like the last remaining house in New York City from that time period. So anyway, I just want to advocate for the Merchant house. Another question that I have that was not pre-prepared, but now I'm interested. Are there any stipulations when developers get approval to build next to a historic house? Like if something happens, does that developer, are they held accountable for that? Is there any type of, again, like stipulations or things that could be done if like because I know their biggest challenge, they really truly feel like the foundation is going to be destroyed if, depending on how that development gets carried out. So I'm just wondering, is there anything that makes them accountable to like fixing something or ensuring something, or if like something goes wrong, is it kind of like, oh, well, it's up to the Merchant house to figure it out?
Well, when you're doing construction next to a landmark building or historic district building, you do have to file a construction protection plan. And I can't answer your question because it is a DOB process of exactly what the, if there's a penalty or another process. And so I would have to get back to you on that, but I know that this
I
construction
figured it might
protection
not
plan
have been
is-
LPC, but I was just wondering if you did have any thoughts on that, because you do play a critical role in making a determination on whether or not something like this is even feasible.
Right. And I mean, we work closely with DOB to make sure that we are, protecting our historic resources, and, there are the requirements through them for any building to make sure that it's, construction of a new building, doesn't harm an adjacent one. But there is, special considerations with the older ones. But we can get back to you to answer
Okay,
that
no
question.
problem. Okay, you noted that LPC is considering rule changes to support ADUs. What would that actually look like in historic districts like those in my district? So I fought really hard during City of Yes to get substantial carve-outs because the many wonderful constituents particularly in the historic part of my district who actually fought to get this landmark. The city didn't come to them. They worked and organized together as a community to get this part of the community landmarked. They are very concerned, and we're very concerned during City of Yes about how ADUs would impact the neighborhood character. So just wanted some more insight there.
Sure. And so for City of Yes allowed for certain types of ADUs in historic districts. So you can't build
me.
you can't build new building ADUs, but you can convert an existing ancillary structure. And then you can do basement and attic ADUs in single family districts. So there are certain types, and you also can't do a detached. So there's certain types of ADUs you can't do in historic districts, but some that you can. We have not yet actually received an application for an ADU in a historic district. I understand your concerns, but we're actually excited by the opportunity of them. And so as we start to get more applications, we will understand the work types associated with ADUs. We are predicting some related to the ancillary structures, to the typically garage buildings, what might be needed. So I think we're trying to anticipate, what that work might be and what rules could help streamline that kind of review. And we don't think that it's going to be an impact on the historic character of districts. And personally, I think it can be exciting to see these be built. But
So, to that point, LPC does still need to approve any adjustments. It isn't that these homeowners can now just build. They still do have to go through a process, as they do for many different things when they want to, sometimes to their dismay, when they want to fix something on their homes, they do kind of have to deal with LPC in some form. So are you saying that they still will have to deal with LPC if they want to make any adjustments or put an ADU onto their home?
for any work that impacts the exterior of either the primary building or the secondary building, they will have to come to us. If it's interior work, that wouldn't be reviewed by us. It's really just the exterior.
Okay, no problem. So in communities like Adelaide Park, residents have expressed strong concerns about ADUs and density creep. How will you ensure these policies do not gradually change the character of low density landmark neighborhoods?
Well, I think for the historic character issues, because these ADUs in historic districts are limited to, the basement, the attic, or an existing structure, I don't think from a historic character perspective that this would meaningfully change, that historic character.
Okay. We've also heard concerns about delays within LPC, particularly around research and project review. In my district, there has been a request to explore expanding the boundaries of the Adelaide Park Historic District that has been sitting without movement for months. How will you address backlog and responsiveness issues within the agency?
Yeah, so for when people request evaluation for a potential district or expansion of a district, that research does take us some time. We really go building by building and look very carefully. So I understand that, that can seem like it's a long time, and we can work on our responsiveness to those issues. I know that that's being evaluated right now by our staff, and we'll be able to get back on that shortly.
Okay, thank you. We've also heard consistently from cultural institutions that the LPC process is too slow, too complex, and too costly, with projects taking years and organizations fronting money they do not have. What specific changes will you make to streamline approvals and improve coordination across agencies, particularly with cultural institutions that are landmarked?
Yes, and our cultural institutions are incredibly important to the city's economy, and we're thrilled when they're in a historic building. We have not had the experience of people saying, of cultural institutions saying that there's such long delays. So I'm happy to know about any
The Bronx
specific
Zoo
examples.
specifically has a project that they're working on, and LPC, it's been an interesting back and forth around like these honestly ugly gates that on the building that apparently are landmarked, and they have to go through some particular process. It is costing them more money, and it is taking more time for what I consider to be like these ugly green gates on the windows.
Okay. We're happy to talk to them.
It's a historic landmark, and so
Yeah, we actually haven't received recent applications from them, so
Okay.
but we'll can reach out. We
Okay.
can work on this together. Happy to do that. We know they've done award-winning work actually on their landmarks buildings, and did some of the first LEED certified historic building restorations there. So we've done they've done great work, and we've been happy to support them. But it is an important issue, and we're always really working to make sure that we're approving permits efficiently. And whether it's a big cultural institution like the Met, where we approved, their recent expansion, and that does take a little bit longer, but I think we worked really productively and had a great outcome there. Or when it's a smaller cultural institution, typically our work can, if it's approved by staff, that can happen in a matter of a couple of weeks. If it needs a public hearing, that can happen in 3 months to go through the full process with the community board and then our hearing process. So we really do pride ourselves on being very efficient and trying to work particularly with cultural institutions and NGOs. So it's very important to us. We're happy to get the feedback, happy to work with you on this and really make sure that we're being as responsive as we need to be.
And has LBC ever like waived certain requirements if someone is doing a construction capital project? Well, let's just say a cultural institution. Like, is there a precedence for like waiving certain requirements?
Under the law, we wouldn't be able to do that. But often what we'll do is work with cultural institutions to say, if you, did the work this way, the staff could approve this because it meets our rules, and this will be faster. We allow for replacement materials and other ways to make projects more affordable. So, we are very hands-on and really try and work with people to meet their needs and also to get to yes, we want these projects to be approved.
Okay. Last final question. How do you plan to work with organizations like the Historic Districts Council and the New York Landmarks Conservancy, especially when community-driven landmarking efforts need additional support and agency capacity is limited?
Yeah, we love working with our nonprofit friends. I know New York Landmarks Conservancy, HDC are here, and always looking for ways to partner. We actually partner a lot with the Landmarks Conservancy on our outreach because they can offer property owners some valuable technical assistance and loans, and we have a small grant program. So we work often with organizations. Happy to continue to do that. I come from the nonprofit historic preservation world, so I'm happy to keep bolstering these relationships.
I'd like to now turn it over to Minority Leader Carr.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I want to talk a little bit about what the Deputy Speaker was talking about with respect to the difficulties that people expect when a landmarking gets designated. Because typically, we often encounter owners, whether they're not-for-profit owner or just a private owner, who is concerned that the honor of getting the landmarking comes with significant cost escalations and complications when it comes to, maintaining or improving the site. And so, what do we have available to us in the city with respect to assisting these owners when it comes time for them to engage in some basic repairs that now may be actually really out of proportion with what they would have had to pay if it was just a regular building?
It's a great question, and we have invested a lot in working with smaller property owners, and I think it's really important. We our staff are very hands-on, and we encourage any property owner that just has questions about they're just thinking about work to reach out to, especially to our public information officer. to just start that process. Because I think if we can talk to the property owners, we can share the options. We have a permit application guidebook that outlines all of the work that you can do at the staff level, and it includes a lot about replacement materials, things that make the work potentially cheaper. And regular maintenance doesn't need a permit from us at all. So they don't have to come to us for that. But other work, I think it's great for people to talk to us early, and we can try and help guide through that system and make sure that they're meeting the guidelines, but also that they're able to do this work, efficiently. We can issue the permit quickly, and our staff will help do the permit application for them. Our staff regularly presents on behalf of property owners at our commission if something needs to go to a hearing. So we really do invest a lot of resources into helping individual property owners. And we have a small grant program. It is admittedly small, and we do partner, as I said, with groups like the Landmarks Conservancy to, help with loan programs and other opportunities like that for homeowners.
So you mentioned the grant opportunity, right, which I think is for interior and facade work, ranging from
It's for exterior, yeah.
exterior work. So and is that completely federally funded? It's all community development block grant funding?
It is.
So in terms of other grant opportunities, you mentioned this partnership with the Conservancy, but do you think Landmarks has the bandwidth to do more in terms of trying to coordinate all the different private grant opportunities that you could help a landmark designee seek in the event that they need to do work that either doesn't qualify for your grant, or maybe you just don't have, you've already expended your fiscal year's worth of funds?
Yes, and our grant program is a little bit limited, and also property owners have to meet the federal criteria for their income levels. So that also is a bit of a challenge. I think we really do rely on our nonprofit partners to help us share about these different opportunities, and that's important to us. There's also a state homeowner tax credit that I think is important. I would like to see us do some more education in that and try and grow that program as well. It is for certain census tracts, but I think another opportunity for helping property owners. But I think we have the bandwidth. We, have invested quite a bit in outreach. It's a really important aspect of what we do. And I think we have the bandwidth to do more.
And so do you think that you'd be able to conduct public sessions in conjunction with, not-for-profit partners on the availability of both public and non-public grants for these sorts of projects? Particularly, a lot of folks don't even know, what's out there, let alone to come to you and say, can I apply for this? I think you kind of have to meet people where they are.
I totally agree. And we, what we typically do is a session on how to get a permit from LPC, but then we also add to that, our information on our grant program. The Landmarks Conservancy will often join with us. And we do it kind of historic district by historic district to keep it small, to be able to answer all of these permitting questions, but also make sure they have this, the financial resources information as well. We have also done a session with the State Historic Preservation Office on a Zoom to try and get a larger audience, and also then have that information available on YouTube for people to reference. And it's probably time for us to do that again. So, it's important work, and we're happy to keep doing it.
Appreciate that answer. And, I think one of the concerns I have, and I know many of my constituents have, is that the limited availability of funding streams with respect to supporting historic preservation often leads to projects coming to the commission and the commission having to consider projects that really run at cross purposes with historic preservation. And so the case in point that I'm thinking of is the Ernest Flagg Estate in my district, formerly the St. Charles Seminary. There was a couple of different iterations of residential developments for that property that I think everyone kind of universally felt compromised the historic nature of the site, but LPC kind of just looked at it through the prism of, does this development going to further the preservation of the buildings we actually care about? Even though, I think that there was a strong case to make that the entire site was worthy of being considered as a whole rather than just the structures that met the designation. So I think that that's something to kind of flag for the future. And would you just kind of shed some light on how you would approach those sorts of situations?
Sure, and I'm not sure that I have a lot of detailed knowledge about the specific applications, that came to us, but I think when we designate a property, we do write a designation report that outlines the significance of the designation and whether it's, the buildings or the buildings in the site. And that does really guide us in our approvals. We are mindful that sometimes there are properties that are maybe large that have been vacant for some time that need some adjacent development to help invest into the primary building. So that is something that that we're mindful of. But I think the approvals are usually laid out based on the significance that of the designation itself. But I think it's a good point and important for us to think about.
So when you have a structural designation, right, that doesn't apply necessarily to the entire property, is there any level of analysis that's taken into account beyond just safeguarding the building from a safety and preservation standpoint during the construction plan, but rather how it impacts the building, the view of it, and all these other different aspects that really help make the building what it is based on the way it was situated at the time of the designation, as opposed to how it will be situated after a development has taken place?
Yeah, and it really does depend on, whether we've designated just the building or site, or we've designated it, with adjacent land. But I think, it's the commissioners, if it's something that's going to a public hearing, will, can't help but think about that larger context. But I think we are bound by the law of what we regulate. And so if we have only designated part of it, we really can't regulate what's not designated. So it varies, I think, property by property.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your nomination. Part of my questions will be hyperlocal, and then we'll spread out. In communities like East New York and Brownsville, especially the Nehemiah houses, residents are concerned about the overdevelopment and the losing of character and identity of neighborhoods that were built for working class homeowners. How do you see the LPC working with communities like the Nehemiah, East New York, Brownsville, and New Lots to help preserve neighborhood character while still allowing for smart and thoughtful growth without changing the character of the community?
It's a great question. And, we do, when an area is, say, like undergoing a rezoning or plan for growth, we do try and partner with city planning to look at the preservation opportunities. In fact, in East New York, we did designate the Empire State Dairy on Atlantic Avenue that has the new development behind it.
Correct. Yes.
And we crafted the designation.
Off of the conduit. Yeah.
Yeah, to keep the front building, but then to allow the housing from to be built behind it. So I thought that was a creative way to both have the preservation and the new housing. But our job is to protect historic character, not necessarily to stop change. But I understand that when there is change, when there's new development, that it can be upsetting to people. I think we do want to make sure that we are looking at potential designations in those areas that are experiencing change. We've done surveys in East New York. I think there's still interesting resources out there.
Yes.
Happy to talk to you.
Okay. We would definitely love to have more conversation on that. One thing we hear often from communities is that conversations around landmarking usually happen after development have already started, and residents feel like like they're playing catch up. As the commissioner, would you support early engagement with communities and more proactive approach to identifying neighborhoods with historical or cultural significance before they are heavily impacted by development?
Yeah, and we again working with city planning. Recently with the Midtown South rezoning, for example, we designated 5 important historic resources in advance of that rezoning, and I think that we looked at places that were both historically and culturally significant, but
Right.
also had what we call it placemaking, that had a real presence in the neighborhood, that their preservation would help retain that character of the area while it also was undergoing some redevelopment. So I think that's something that's important to me. We've done that with various rezonings. In the Gowanus rezoning, we did that
Gowanus.
as well. We
Yeah.
designated 5 buildings there too. So I think I think it's good planning to sort of bring the preservation and planning issues together. So happy to continue to do that when it's appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you for your response on that. As you know, many Nycc residents across the city, including in my district, which has about 12 Nycc developments, have concerns about the long-term future of public housing under this administration and its continued push to privatize developments or place developments into the RAD PAC program. Residents are concerned not only about management changes from Nycc to private managers, but also about the preserving the identity, the history, and the community fabric which these developments over time, as we have seen conversions surrounding places like Fulton Chelsea Elliott, for example, where they are looking to completely demolish that development. What role, if any, do you believe the LPC can play in helping preserve historically and culturally significant public housing communities as conversions and around redevelopment and modernization of Nycc continues?
Sure. I mean, we have designated 2 Nycc complexes, and I think what we've really looked at with those is kind of the first, sort of the prototypes of the housing. One is Williamsburg housing, and the other one, I'm forgetting the name, in Harlem. And so really looking at some of the earliest housing that kind of embodies that type.
Right.
And I think that those were important designations for us, important for the city. I'm not necessarily sure that we would be looking at more designations of Nycc since we've done these really important ones. So I know that there's some that are on the National Register and they're able to use federal historic tax credits, which is very important. So we've played a small role in that review process. But I think the designations we've done are great and important, and we've been happy to work with Nycc as they improved those 2 designations landmarks recently.
Nycc developments are home to generations of New Yorkers and represent an important part of the city's social and cultural history, especially for Black and Brown communities and working class families. Do you believe there should be a broader conversations around recognizing the historical and cultural significance of certain Nycc campuses or public housing communities, even if preservation looks different from the traditional landmarking?
Sure. It's a great question, and I do think there's very important history there, and I think that the right tool potentially is the one that's being used, which is the National Register.
Right.
There's been important history documented that is actually ongoing, and I think that puts it into the formal record that this history is very, very important, very interesting. Public housing, and how it has supported New Yorkers is so important.
Right.
And so I think that tool that's being used is actually the right one. I'm not sure that necessarily the regulatory arm of LPC is necessarily necessary, but I think documenting that history the way it's being done now is very important.
It's very okay. One concern I hear often from residents is that redevelopment conversations can sometimes happen to communities instead of with communities. And from your perspective, how can the LPC help ensure residents have a stronger voice in conversations about preserving public housing, working class Black and Brown neighborhoods when it comes to preserving the identity, and also looking at the community history before major development decisions are made. And also too, while I also understand that the city's push for more housing, we also have to make sure that we're protecting the OG, which I call the oldest affordable housing stock in the city of New York, which is Nycc, and not selling it out. So I just want to kind of get your perspective of what the LPC would do in those situations.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard for LPC when, unless it's actually designated by us. We don't necessarily have a role. I agree that those conversations are really important to have. When we did do review proposed work on the the two that we have designated, we did have community testimony, and that's a very important part of our process.
Right.
But I think that those conversations, I think there's people in the city really good at running those kinds of conversations. I'm not sure how much we would have to add unless they're actually designated.
All right. Do you have I mean, is there a list that exists of all the designated Knights developments?
Yes, and we're happy to provide that to you.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I don't have it top of mind, but we can
Appreciate
provide that
if
to
we
you.
can. Once you become chair, you can provide that. And my last question pertains to Thomas Jefferson High School, which has been there's been some controversy around a particular statue of Thomas Jefferson that is placed in the hallway of Thomas Jefferson High School, and there's been multiple petitions that have been circulated by the students of Thomas Jefferson. Now it's a campus because it's made up of multiple high schools, asking that the statue be removed. And this is from their own knowledge and studying the history. So we know that the statue has been stated to us that by DOE that the statue is landmarked. We would love to work with you to see how we can acquiesce to the wishes and the desires of the students who wish to have that statue removed from the hallway.
Happy to talk about it. I'm not familiar with the situation. If this is a statue that's, say, attached to the building, or it's just a statue.
It's a statue right in the hallway. As soon as you walk into the building, it's a
okay.
big Thomas Jefferson statue. But it was stated to us by a DOE that the statue is landmarked. So there were conversations around covering the statue up. Or removal of the statue. And again, I just want to say that this is something that came from the students who said that they didn't want that statue in their hallways or have to walk past it as they're going to class.
Yeah. If it's on the interior, and it is an individual landmark, I'm not quite sure, but if it's on the interior, I don't think that we would regulate it at all, actually.
There's no regulation. Okay.
But we can look into that to
Right.
confirm that. I probably shouldn't say that so
So
declaratively.
interior landmarking, who would that go to? Oh.
So we have about 120 interior landmarks across the city. They're very rare. I don't know that we have any high schools that have interior landmarks. I could be wrong about that.
Right. Well,
But typically, when we've designated school buildings, we don't do the interior as well. So, and even if it is a monument on the outside, we have approved removals of certain monuments. Sometimes we don't regulate them. It depends, but we could certainly look into this some more.
That's what we want. We want folks to get information back to us that's accurate.
Yeah.
But according to the DOE, they're saying that it's landmarked.
Okay, we can look into this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I've also been joined by Councilmember Brewer. I do have a few more questions, and then I'll turn it over to Councilmember Brewer. At the last hearing, the council held on nominations for the LPC. A number of advocates testified that they hoped the LPC would deny the West Park Presbyterian request for approval to demolish their landmark building so that the site can be sold to a residential developer. What is the current status of the application?
So this is a hardship application, and it is before the commission now. And like I said, hardship applications are very rare, and they are a fact-driven process. And so, as this is something I could potentially be voting on if I were nominated, or approved, I have to be careful about
Sure.
what I say, but I can assure you that this is going through a very robust review. We've had a public hearing. We've had 2 public meetings. We've had lots of documents submitted to us, both from the applicant and from individuals, from organizations, from elected officials. So this is undergoing a very careful review.
Thank you. So, let's just take this broadly, right? So in this case, the church claims it's a hardship to maintain its current building, and they said they will use the expected funds from the sales to start a social justice fund. So without saying it's West Park, this current application, what do you think about in general when, churches have these hardship applications?
Well, there's been so few hardship applications, that there's been 23, I think, over the history of the commission. So they're very rare, and each one is different, and each one is fact-driven. So I'm not sure that I can necessarily compare one to another. I would say just generally with faith-based organizations, we are sympathetic to their needs. They sometimes have buildings that are expensive to maintain. They've experienced deferred maintenance. They want to put money into their mission, not necessarily their building sometimes. So these raise complex issues for the agency that we're very mindful of.
So, what degree of financial hardship should allow a property to be exempt from the landmark law?
So for hardship application, it is prescribed in the law that, there's a judicial test. And so it's not something that the chair or the commission, kind of unilaterally looks at. It's really prescribed in a judicial test.
Okay, and you have been involved in landmarking other religious sites that claim landmarking will be a hardship. Is landmarking small churches with dwindling congregations something that is bound to fail? If not, how do you propose to keep churches from claiming hardship and selling their landmark sites to residential developers?
It is a good question. It's a difficult question. In terms of our designations, about 1.5% are religious in nature. So it's a small subset. Religious properties are often, in a community, some of the most significant architecture. People are whether they're a member of it or, a neighborhood resident, they often are, sort of the unofficial landmarks or sometimes official landmarks of a neighborhood. So, we understand that there's competing issues here. We've worked with many religious institutions across the city to help them. We have a team at LPC that is dedicated to permitting for religious institutions. We think that's really important because they know the building types really well. They often know the congregations or the institutions that can really help them. And I think we're sympathetic to these issues and to, in some cases, the congregation is getting smaller. So, and when we think about new designations for religious institutions, we are very careful with those. We do get a lot of requests for evaluation for religious institutions. We prioritize a very small number because we understand that these are, they're facing difficult issues at the moment. But we have also helped religious institutions grow too. We've approved new buildings adjacent to churches or in the, on a campus. In a recent case, an addition. So we've tried to figure out ways that we can help them be financially stable while also retaining the landmark or historic district building.
Thank you. I do have 2 more questions, but I'd like to turn it over to Councilmember Brewer.
I landmarked that damn church. I just want to make it very, very clear. And I will make sure that it is there forever. But thank you for your comments. Just generally about the churches. So when I was dealing with one other church, St. Paul and St. Andrew, we managed to get the basement where there is a nonprofit to be a condo, working with OMB. So my question is just generally, do you have any creative answers? I want these churches, synagogues to survive, not to be torn down. So my question would be, are there any other ideas you might have to give them funding? I know that we cannot give them, state does, but the city can't give them funding for religious purposes. Are there any other suggestions that you have about how to maintain them when they are landmarked? Because this is, the roof on St. Paul is $5.5 million, just right now they're raising the money. And there are certain criteria that OMB demands if you are giving city money. Sometimes the churches and synagogues don't want to abide by those rules. So it is complicated. But we do have to figure out, because they cannot survive without some other funding.
Yeah, and there's certain state funding I know that's.
State can do it.
Yeah, the state can do it.
Some ADA ramps, they can do some.
Yeah, and it is a challenging issue. And I think it's, it depends on the particular resource as well. So, I think City of Yes has opened up opportunities for some development on if there's a campus or parish ground, there could be additional development. I think that can be important. Not in every
Manhattan doesn't
case.
have much of that, but I hear you.
Yeah, it might be more in the boroughs that's an option, but I think that's really important. And we have worked with FBOs on approving, new buildings or other kinds of work, including in Manhattan
Right,
too.
Mount Pleasant on 81st Street, I'm aware.
And Lower East Side as well. So I think that's really important. The improvements to federal historic tax credit, that could help, I wonder, if there is public-private partnership or syndication of tax credits. Right now, it's not used maybe as much as it could be, but I think that could be potentially an opportunity as well.
Okay, that's a topic that really needs more intense discussion, I feel strongly. Second, the communities, I was able to landmark West End Avenue, 850 buildings, but just generally because we had the funding in the neighborhood to hire, in this case, Andrew Dalker, to do the work. So my question is there funding for other historic districts and neighborhoods that may not be able to raise that kind of money? Because when historic districts come to you, particularly large ones, they need to have, I think, some background and some work done, and then you can supplement it. So are you making some effort? I'm very bad. I would landmark historic district, the whole city. I say right into the microphone, and I get in a whole bunch of trouble, and I don't care. But the issue is, for me, is how do you get other historic districts and neighborhoods that may not have that kind of resource? What are you doing about that?
And I actually said this before you came in.
I'm
but
sorry, I
don't-
was at another hearing
no,
next
it's
door.
okay. I don't think that we need additional resources to do that. And I don't think that communities should feel an obligation to provide that level of information to us. We do have a research department. They can undertake this work. It's always helpful to get information. It's helpful
So are you
to get-
doing work with the communities to say this is a potential historic district, or do they have to come to you? How are we making it clearer to people?
So, for example, we just designated 2 historic districts in Brooklyn and in Flatbush, and we came up with the boundaries. We had surveyed in the area before. We resurveyed it. We developed the boundaries. To be honest, there was the community had hoped we would do more, but we didn't find that some of those areas merited. So, but we went there's back and forth on this, but really this was work that our research department undertook. Nobody needed to pay anything to do that. I don't think that communities should feel obligated to do that. We're happy to work with the preservation organizations. Even if we just get rough boundaries, we can look at that and,
Okay.
do that
We
kind
were
of
told
work.
in the past that we needed to come up with funding in order to have at least an initial presentation, but it's good to hear you. I would love to see, as time goes on, if you are confirmed, that LPC says, let's look at, I'm making this up, these 10 areas, and let's get going on them. Because, people in Harlem complain correctly that they don't feel that they have enough historic districts. I agree. But they also would need some help in identifying them and hoping, it takes time and money to get those areas designated, all the land, all the research. So you're saying you can do all that?
Well, and I will
Okay.
say that Community Board Den did a historic preservation plan, and they, identified various districts, and we've actually designated, I think, 3 of the
Right,
districts
Save
that were in-
Harlem now would like more.
I totally understand.
And I'm with them.
But we've worked with them in recent years to do three
Okay.
really important district and really identifying
And those-
social justice and civil
And the
rights history, too.
158 houses, I'd still like to get them historic district. I'm just saying. Okay. Would you be a loud voice, I hope? I think you said so in your testimony about the notion that affordable housing versus landmarking is not a good scenario, that we feel that they go together, that you can have affordable housing and it can be landmarked. Is that something that you would talk about?
Well, I think
Because I don't like that scenario.
A yes and answer for that, but I do think that the preservation of buildings can also lead to the preservation of affordable units. But I also think that it's really important that we create new housing as well. So I think it's both, and I think that we need to, think about how can we add new housing in historic districts as well.
Okay, because I would tell you, in some cases, people think that you are destroying communities if you have landmarking, or historic districts, and I totally disagree with that. A plaque program, that's obviously Barbara Diamond-St. will go, but she's been doing that for years. I have a bill in this council that would love to have more plaques on buildings and so on to designate historic culturally or architecturally. Is that something that you would support? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, well, so it's the New York Landmarks Preservation Foundation has a plaque program, and then, but then other organizations have plaque programs as well. And to steal a pun from our general counsel, we are mindful of plaque buildup on some buildings, that we don't want to have multiple plaques.
No, I'm not saying, but there's a lot of places that there are no plaques at all.
Certainly, our staff regularly approves them, and we help with the foundations, the text of the plaque and, other information for them. But otherwise, individual property owners come to us all the time. We approve plaque placements regularly.
Okay. You probably talked about this earlier, but is there a backlog in terms of how long does it take if a building comes to you and it would be hopefully designated and there's a proposal? Is it obviously if there's concerns as there are with the church, that's different. But for a normal, I live in a historic district, my district office is in a historic district. If I could interior my house, I would make that a landmark inside, but I was told I couldn't do that. I renovated right back to 1896, and there's nothing different than 1896. Looks just like it, all the holes and everything. So my question is, what is a backlog if somebody wants to have, there's a designate or hope for a designation? How long does it take? Obviously it's average.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we have a backlog. I think for the actual designation process from the, the calendaring to the designation, we've been moving quite efficiently. Usually an individual landmark takes 3 months to 6 months, and a district probably somewhere between 4 months and a year, which is well below what the law requires us to do. Mm-hmm. In terms of, something, what we have prioritized, we're constantly studying buildings across the city. We don't have an application process for designations, so there's not necessarily a measurable time between, say, if somebody puts in a request for evaluation to when we actually designate something if it merits, because there's a lot of process of what we're prioritizing. We're trying to also really look at equitable designations across all 5 boroughs. So something may merit designation, but we don't necessarily prioritize it, at a given time. So it's
Depends.
It's not really measurable. Yeah,
Okay.
It depends.
Okay. Thank you very much. But I am going to make sure that church survives. Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you. It's almost, I only have 2 more questions.
Okay.
LPC has designated some historic sites that have unremarkable aesthetic features, such as the James Baldwin House. Also, it's refused to designate other sites that hold historic significance for certain communities because they lack high architectural distinctions, such as St. Elizabeth Church on Upper East Side. Doesn't the requirement that some historical sites have high architectural distinctions while not requiring the same of others illustrate that LPC standards, at the very least, are subjectively applied?
Thank you for that question. And, I think it's an important one. The James Baldwin House, I think, is an incredibly important designation. And while it's not architecturally distinguished, it does reflect the time that James Baldwin lived there. He purchased the property when it was basically a row house that was converted to a multifamily house and stripped at a certain point. And so it reflects the time that he purchased the property, he lived there, his family lived there, he talked about the property being important to him. And so because it has this strong connection to him and his productive time, we felt it met our criteria for designation and was an important designation to reflect Black history and also LGBTQ history. So to me, that is an important designation on the Upper West Side. I understand when we don't, for church buildings or for religious institution buildings, they are often quite lovely buildings. And so we do have a higher standard for those buildings. And we don't necessarily prioritize as many religious institutions for designations. So, it's hard to compare the two buildings, but I think that the James Baldwin, we don't designate many buildings related to a person. Okay. That to us was a very important designation.
Okay, I'll just end it with, in 11 years since you joined LPC, have you found that the public is more or less skeptical of the LPC's decisions?
I love New York and I love New Yorkers. And, I think there's a healthy skepticism, for everything that happens in the city. So, I think that we have an outsized impact in the city. There's an outsized interest in New York City's historic buildings. People care a lot about the places they live and what it looks like. So I don't know that it's changed much, but I welcome all kinds of opinions from New Yorkers.
You're indeed a group of diverse opinions. I would like to thank you for joining us today and providing your testimony. You are now excused. I will now open up the floor to public for comments. If you wish to speak, please fill out the appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. We ask that you please limit your comments to 2 minutes, and if you have a written statement, please provide a copy of that statement to the Sergeant at Arms. I'd like to invite up Mr. Tolbert, Mr. Sean Corsati, Mr. Tiran, and Miss Peg Bream. Sorry. Apologies, Bream. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go from the left to the right. You can start.
Good morning, council members and Chair Ung. My name is Frampton Tolbert. I'm the Executive Director of the Historic Districts Council, the citywide advocacy organization for New York's historic neighborhoods. We collaborate and represent more than 500 community partner organizations helping preserve the places that matter to them. We are here to testify today on the nomination of Lisa Kersavage as Chair of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. HCC has worked with the nominee for many years in her role at the LPC, as well as at other institutions such as the Municipal Art Society and Friends of the Upper East Side. We think this role does require formal preservation knowledge and experience, and are pleased to see someone with that experience nominated. We look forward to working with the chair to further preservation across the city, especially in communities that have been overlooked and or less invested in by the LPC. We urge the City Council to make sure that the LPC is carrying out its duty to designate the places that matter. In the previous mayoral administration, designations fell dramatically, and we lost significant places like the Pennsylvania Hotel and 270 Park Avenue, to name just two, that could have been retained and repurposed for housing or other uses. We also ask that the LPC provide more transparency in decision-making around its equity framework, which aims to ensure a fair representation of New York City's diverse history. There are many communities that still do not feel their neighborhoods have been adequately represented in landmark designations: East Harlem, East New York, Parkchester, Astoria, the Lower East Side, and Bayside, to name just a few. Finally, I would ask that the City Council work with the LPC to make sure that the preservation is part of the solution for the housing crisis in New York City. This includes both the preservation of existing housing, the numerous historic apartment buildings and tenements, as well as new housing. The LPC has approved numerous proposals for conversion of housing and new housing in historic districts, but in many ways has barely scratched the surface on what could be possible. Thank you for consideration of our remarks, and we look forward to our continued work with the LPC in preserving New York City.
Good morning, Commissioners and Council members. Sean Corsandi for Landmark West. Over the years, we've had the pleasure of working with Lisa in her prior roles across a variety of landmarks issues. With Lisa, the city has an experienced official who understands the intricacies and flexibility of the landmarks law and can begin work day one. While her knowledge of the entire New York City landmarks process is extensive, her ability to respond to special circumstances and preservation issues with extraordinary elan makes her an exceptional candidate. We've witnessed her commitment to addressing vulnerable buildings. The most vulnerable New York City landmark is West Park Presbyterian Church. We are confident that upon analysis of the facts, the reality of this self-imposed hardship will be clear to the Commission. Lisa has also worked to recognize underrepresented communities and typologies. We all know that landmark status can not only stabilize a community and protect affordability, but also bring socioeconomic benefits. It's important that underrepresented stories continue to be told. The West Side is home to a cacophony of architectural styles and typologies and diverse histories, many of which remain unprotected. We have significant sites of urban renewal, including Nycc's Amsterdam houses. Among the first post-war housing in Manhattan, the site first acquired via eminent domain in order to clear historically Black and Puerto Rican neighborhood of San Juan Hill. Under the current White House administration, modernism is under attack. Despite having numerous modern structures within our boundary, one of the country's most significant modernist campuses, Lincoln Center, also unprotected. We have extant model tenements that bear witness to the evolution of housing reforms in the city, not protected. And the first of its typology, PS 165, architect C.B.J. Snyder's first use of the H-plan for public schools, which became the citywide standard, not protected. Despite success, there's still so much work to do to see designations that bear and reflect the true breadth of our diverse, dense, and deserving neighborhood. Lisa Kursavage possesses all the characteristics required for the chair: her expertise, enthusiasm, intelligence, and objectivity. We look forward to working with her and the agency to achieve our mutual goals.
Good morning, Chair Ung and committee members. I'm Peg Breen, president of the New York Landmarks Conservancy. We're a 53-year-old preservation organization that works to save the city's architectural heritage through advocacy, loans, grants, and technical help to the owners of historic properties. Through the years, we've loaned and granted almost $63 million for preservation work. I'm pleased to support the nomination of Lisa Kursavage as chair of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. As you've heard, she comes with a deep background in preservation and has served as the commission has worked to make its rules and applications more user-friendly, and to ensure that buildings and places important to the city's diverse communities are represented in designations. As you know, this is an important position. When your predecessors at the City Council passed the city's landmarks law, they noted it was designed to protect the city's history and identity, but they also said preservation would be important to the city's economy, and it has been. An economic study we commissioned found that preservation provides some 9,000 local jobs and paychecks of over $500 million a year. Heritage tourism is a key component of our visitor industry. Preservation also has a role to play in our housing needs. The Commission routinely approves new buildings in historic districts and supports the conversion of commercial and civic buildings into housing. While the number of landmark buildings and districts is impressive, historic districts still take up less than 5% of the city's land. I've included a handy map to go with my testimony. So historic districts are not hampering housing production, and there are buildings and neighborhoods that still deserve to be designated. We look forward to working with Lisa as the Commission continues to protect our heritage and our economy. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Ung, committee members. My name is Zainab Turan. I'm Director of Preservation at Friends of the Upper East Side, an independent nonprofit founded in 1982, works to safeguard the neighborhood's architectural legacy, livability, and sense of place. We are especially proud of Ms. Lisa Kursavage's long-standing connection to Friends, including her service as executive director from 1999 to 2004. We support her appointment as chair of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. With over a decade at the LPC, she brings deep knowledge of the agency, its policies, and the city's historic built environment. We also urge attention to pressing preservation challenges, especially in Yorkville, where development pressure heightened by the Second Avenue subway threatens its human scale and immigrant-rooted character. Over the past decade, Friends has submitted 36 requests for evaluation, but timely landmark designations remain difficult for at-risk sites. We encourage the City Council to examine the LPC evaluation criteria in light of recent losses, such as St. Elizabeth of Hungary Church, you mentioned, Chair, built in 1893, and the Dolger Building, built in 1930. Despite new research, neither was designated. St. Elizabeth's has been demolished now, and the Dolger Building faces a similar fate. These cases highlight the need for a faster, more responsive process before such irreversible losses occur. With designations rates declining, particularly in Manhattan, Ms. Kursavage's confirmation is an opportunity to strengthen the LPC's proactive role and reverse this trend. Friends continues to advocate for expanded protections on the Upper East Side, including new historic districts near east of 3rd Avenue. And we look forward to working with her to advance preservation, secure new designations in Yorkville, and protect the Upper East Side's historic fabric. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to call next Ward Dennis and Judith Saltzman. Please, yes.
Good morning, Chair Ung and council members. My name is Ward Dennis. I've worked as a historic preservation professional for 20 years, or 30 years rather, and teach in the historic preservation program at the Graduate Center for Planning and the Environment at the Pratt Institute. I'm here to speak enthusiastically in support of Lisa Kursavage's nomination for chair. I've known Lisa for most of my time working in the historic preservation field. I first met her when she was a graduate student at Columbia, but we had the opportunity to work closely with her about 10 years later when she was a Crest Fellow at the Municipal Arts Society, and I was a member of Community Board 1 in Brooklyn at the time of the 2005 Greenpoint-Williamsburg waterfront rezoning. Working with Lisa, the Community Board was able to understand the impact of the rezoning on our historic industrial fabric and to effectively advocate for the designation of the Eberhard Faber Pencil Factory Historic District. Lisa and MAS also helped us work with industrial tenants faced with displacement as a result of the rezoning. Since taking on the role of executive director at LPC, I've had the pleasure of working with Lisa on a few occasions as part of the agency's efforts to designate historic buildings. Lisa has always shown an understanding and empathy for property owners, community members, and stakeholders. Throughout her career, Lisa has worked at the nexus of preservation, sustainability, and affordability. She has a deep knowledge of preservation and of our city, and I am confident that she will continue this record leading LPC under this administration. Lisa is a remarkable public servant, and I am pleased to support her nomination to be the next chair of LPC. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Ung and members of the committee. I'm Judith Saltzman, an architect and preservationist, and I'm pleased to be here today to enthusiastically endorse the appointment of Lisa Kursavage as chair of the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission. I've known Lisa for over 2 decades and have admired her unwavering dedication to our city, its past and its future. Lisa has a profound understanding of how preservation connects to citywide issues, its importance, its complexity, and the need for collaborative decision-making. I worked closely with Lisa when she served as the Senior Director of Preservation and Sustainability at the Municipal Art Society when I was co-chair of the Preservation Committee. Lisa's work at MAS on preservation and climate change is a superb example of her capacity to initiate dialogue among multidisciplinary professionals, resulting in shared success. Commencing with concerns from our committee that city policy regarding sustainability favored demolition and new construction over restoration and improvement of existing older buildings, Lisa organized a series of 8 roundtables with experts in a range of fields in urban sustainability. The goal of finding common ground with preservation was very successfully achieved. Lisa's extensive professional experience with significant New York City-based civic organizations, coupled with her 11 years at the Commission, provides her with the perfect background to serve as chair. Working with committees, boards, regulators, and stakeholders on complex issues, Lisa has exhibited an outstanding ability to draw people of different viewpoints into intelligent and productive dialogue and attain successful outcomes. Astute, highly motivated, and professional, Lisa has established the delicate equilibrium of passion and practicality. Please endorse her appointment as chair.
Thank you all for your testimony. Are there any other members of public who wish to testify? Okay, great. Well, seeing none, the public hearing on these nominees are now closed. I would like again to thank the nominee, the members of public, my colleagues, and the committee council, and staff, and the Sergeant at Arms. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.